welcome to the February meeting of the Wilmot Township Committee of Adjustment. I'm not aware that anyone wishes to read the territorial acknowledgement agreement, so I will do so. We have gathered in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the Neutral, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the dish with one covenant, with a spoon of one covenant, a peace agreement made between indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and to Mother Earth. We should take only what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, the Métis, and the Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work together as a community. I would like to introduce members of our committee this evening. On my right, we have Mr. Miller, Mr. Rowe, Mr. Bowman, and Ms. Louise Lalonde. Also with us this evening, we have Mr. Andrew Martin, who is our Secretary-Treasurer and who is the Manager of Planning for the Township of Wilmot, and Mr. Cameron Miller, who... I'm sorry. Is that better? Okay. And we have Mr. Cameron Miller, who is the Senior Planner for the Township, and will be introducing our applications this evening. My name is Wayne Roth. We are an independent body appointed by Wilmot Township Council. We have the power to make minor changes to existing zoning regulations and to approve some changes to existing non-conforming uses, as well as to give consent. Each applicant will be notified in writing of the decision of this committee within 10 days, and with that decision will be instructions on how it can be appealed. Any decision made by this committee can be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal, who will then hold a meeting and make a final and binding decision. Only the applicant and certain prescribed public agencies can appeal the committee's decision. If the decision of a minor variance or consent is not appealed, it will become final and binding after 20 days from the date of this meeting. If the decision of the consent is not appealed, it will become final and binding. The format of the meeting will be as follows. We will have Mr. Miller introduce each application. The applicant will then be invited to come forward and add any additional comments if they wish to do so. Following that, any member of the audience will also have the opportunity to speak either for or against the application. Committee members may then have the opportunity to question the applicant and have any concerns that they have raised. And then the committee will make its final decision. Is there any peculiar interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act this evening? Seeing none, we will proceed. Mr. Miller, would you introduce the first application?
Thank you, Mr. Roth. The first application is a variance application A01/23. It concerns 95 Sanders Road West in Baden. So this application is proposing to increase the maximum number of stories of an existing building containing an additional dwelling unit from 1 story to 2 stories. So this property is currently developed with a single detached dwelling and a garage in the rear of the property. And again, the applicants are proposing to convert this existing garage in the rear of the property into an additional dwelling unit detached. By converting the existing building into an additional dwelling unit, it's required to comply with the regulations for accessory buildings because the current building itself does have legal non-complying status, but with it being added as an additional dwelling unit, it's required to comply. And so within the residential zone, the maximum height of an accessory building is 4.5 meters, not exceeding 1 story, but the building in question is in fact less than 4.5 meters, but it is 2 stories. So the height and massing of this building are not proposed to be increased through this proposal, simply changing the use of the structure. So staff did not receive any concerns in circulating the application and are recommending that it be approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Does the applicant or his or her representative wish to address the committee on this matter?
I'm here on behalf of Mike Garcia, but I'm not the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Is there any member of the audience? There's nobody online that wishes to speak to this application. Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, any comments or concerns or questions? Seeing none, I would ask then someone to bring forth a motion to approve. Moved by Mr. Rowe, seconded by Ms. Lalonde. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Mr. Miller, would you introduce the next application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Roth. The next application is consent application BO2/23. It concerns 1741 Ty Road in Hayesville. So this application is proposing to sever approximately 2,300 square meters as a new residential lot while retaining approximately 2,600 square meters. So the subject property is within the limits of Hayesville settlement area boundary and is currently developed with a single detached dwelling in a barn. The applicant is seeking to essentially divide the property's frontage roughly in half and retain one parcel with the future intention of developing it as a residential lot. So both the severed and retained lots would fully comply with the regulations for a residential lot within Zone 2, including lot area, lot frontage. In support of the applications, the applicants submitted a hydrogeological study which assessed any potential impacts of a new septic system on groundwater. So the study identified the need for a new dug well at 1728 Ty Road, and so at the cost of the applicants did replace that well, and it was decommissioned and replaced with the new drilled well. So final acceptance of this well is required by way of an exemption from the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks. So this has been implemented as a condition of consent. And so if this exemption cannot be obtained, then the lot cannot be created. Staff did not receive any comments or concerns and are recommending approval of the consent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Has the applicant joined in virtually? Does the applicant wish to comment on this application?
They'll be joining momentarily here.
Okay.
We're here, trying to be visual.
Yes, we can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get it. Oh, there it is. So we're both here. Yes, got the question, that's the truth.
Well,
I forgot the question now.
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
He was just saying that he had a question, but he forgot what question he was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
We have, in terms of what we've done so far and the conditions that have been put down, we have no problems at all. We will comply.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to comment? You have no one. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Members of the committee, any comments or questions or concerns regarding this application? Seeing none, I will then ask for a motion to approve this. Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by Mr. Miller. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. The next order of business is that we need to approve the minutes of our last meeting. So would someone bring forth a motion to approve those minutes? Moved by Ms. Lalonde, seconded by Mr. Rowe, that we approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor? That is carried. I now declare this meeting to be adjourned.